spend too much time dealing with people from the South. So we start, calling the creek a crick and the
That one is north of here.
Oh, it is north of here. Or is it? Is it really south?
How do you know?
It's a conspiracy.
Oh, it's north. Anyways, so about a week ago, I'm watching, I'm flipping through channels, and I see whoever saw the movie Hook. It's got Robin Williams as Peter Pan in it, right? Love that movie. So I catch it right at the beginning, right? I'm like, yes, I remember watching this on VHS. For some of you who don't know, a VHS was before a DVD. It was like this big plastic brick that would always mess up when you took it out. So, yeah, you had to rewind it yourself, or it would get all dragged apart and you'd have a pencil.
Yeah.
So anyways, so I'm watching this movie and just thinking about how incredible the story is. I mean, you have, this crazy land with pirates, a bunch of kids flying and sword fighting and playing basketball in this crazy wooden contraption that's got a sail thing, but it's on land, and how just incredible that was. And so I'm thinking, I'm like, Peter, and I'm like, oh, Peter. And I'm thinking about kind of a similar situation with one of the disciples back in Jesus' time, who was named Peter also. I'm like, I wonder what the similarities between these two guys are. So to start off, what I'm going to talk about from the movie Hook is basically Peter Pan's kids are kidnapped and brought back to Neverland. And at this point, he's been out of Neverland so long that he's forgot who he was. So he was at one time Peter Pan, forgot he was, and now here he is again. Where Peter in the Bible right now is walking around with Jesus, and he's seen a bunch of stuff happen. He's seen all these miracles happen. But at this moment in the story, it's like they have no idea what has just happened in chapters prior. So we're going to pick up right there. This is in Matthew 14. That says, as soon as the meal was finished, he insisted that the disciples get in the boat and go on to the other side, while he had dismissed the people. With the crowd dispersed, he climbed the mountain so he could by himself pray. He stayed there alone late into the night. Meanwhile, the boat was far out into the sea, when the wind came up against them, and they were battered by the waves. About 4 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came out to them, walking on the water. They were scared out of their wits and said, "A ghost," crying out in terror. So it's kind of the same thing where all these guys have been with Jesus for a long time now, and it's all of a sudden it's like they've never seen him before. Kind of like Peter Pan had been for a good chunk of his life. Peter Pan goes back to the real world and completely forgets everything. And Peter Pan slowly keeps picking up all these pieces of his old life. Like he sees a thimble, and that creates a memory. And he's sitting with all the Lost Boys. And, they're trying to get him to just remember. And they're sitting at this table of food, and there's no food there, but, all the Lost Boys are eating. And they're like, Peter, why aren't you eating? Because he doesn't remember anything that had just happened in his previous life. So the Lost Boys have to go on this thing where they have to teach Peter how to be Peter Pan again, and how his old life was, from essentially scratch. So let's pick it back up in the Bible here where it says, but Jesus was quick to comfort them. "Take courage, don't be afraid." Peter boldly said, "Master, if it's really you, you can call to me to come with you on the water." So I'm watching in the movie Hook the other day. The one character, this is great. The character's name is Thudbutt. That's literally this character's name. And he looks at Peter and, he's like, "Peter, what's your happy thought?" And that was supposed to be the secret to get you to fly, was just to just believe in it and think of your one happy thought and you could fly. So let's go back here. It says, jumping out of the boat, Peter walked onto the water to Jesus. When he looked down at the waves turning beneath him, he lost his nerve and started to sink. He cried, "Master, save me." So Peter in the Bible's like, all right, I'm good. And he's looking ahead, and all of a sudden he looks down, he's like, oh no! And he loses his train of thought. He starts walking, he's just looking right at Jesus. And he's walking, and all of a sudden, he realizes what's going on, he looks down, and then he starts to sink. Just like in the movie where Peter Pan's like, he's like, okay, I'm flying. Oh, and I'm falling. And then, he falls and hits the ground. It's the same exact feeling. So we pick up, and it says, Jesus didn't hesitate. He reached down and grabbed his hand. Then he said, faint heart, what got into you? He carries on. 2 of them climbed into the boat, the wind died down, and the disciples, having watched the whole thing, worshiped Jesus, saying, this is it. You are God's son for sure. So, in the story of Hook, progressively through the movie, Peter starts to learn things again, just like how the disciples are starting to come to this revelation. It was something they forgot, but they're now remembering. Just as through the movie, Peter Pan learns to sword fight again. He learns to crow. He learns to just believe in his imagination, and the food is in the bowls. And, he thinks of his one happy thought, which is this, and this is his kids. He finds that thought, and he can fly. It's just an incredible story to me how, just believing in something changes your entire life. And I think, and a lot of the other leaders believe that this guy Jesus, who we're talking about here, is a lot like that. That as soon as you believe that this guy is who he says he was, and believe that he can take you places that you've never been before, and then your life will be radically different, it's just like flying. You don't know where you're going to end up. You're going to go places you've never been before. You're going to see incredible things. I know that, like, Sunday night, I happened to meet a couple people from Rochester when I was doing summer staff. So at 10 at night, I looked at my friend Alicia. I was like, we're going to Rochester tonight. So we're visiting my friend Jay, who has been in Afghanistan for the past, I think, year and a half now. And he was coming in at 11 o'clock at night. So Alicia and I just looked at something like, we're going. We're doing this. So we go out, grab a garbage plate, meet my friend Jay. He's like completely surprised, like, you guys are here? What's going on? And even on the way home, we're driving home on 490, and the deer runs into the side of my car. Like, I'm not driving and the deer runs out in front and I hit it. This deer straight up like spears the side of my car. And we just pull over and we're like, what was that? But I would have never met Jay had I not gone on summer staff through Young Life and started believing and just thinking about some of this stuff. And I want to take, there's a group of you guys that's going to relate to. Do you believe that Jesus was this guy he said he was? And there's another group of you guys that have been tracking for a while that I want to get your attention right now. Because there's an end part of this movie where Peter's got to leave. Just like eventually, if you read enough of the Bible, Jesus has to leave eventually. And he's got his sword. And at this point in the story, the sword is kind of the symbol of, bestowing power to someone or, passing something on. And, he looks around and says, who do I leave in charge? He's looking at the Lost Boys and kind of looking at each one of them and slowly pulls the sword out from his side and he passes it to Thudbutt, the character I had talked about earlier, and leaves him in charge of everybody. But then looks at the rest of them and says, okay, now everyone is in charge of the next, or someone smaller than them. And he's essentially saying, yeah, he might be in charge, but all of you guys have to look out for each other. If you're all going to be in this thing together, do you believe this? And are you guys united with this? And, the smallest Lost Boy goes, well, then who do I look after? And Peter just looks at him and goes, June bugs, real small ones. Just let him know that everyone has a part in this. And if you're really tracking with this and you're following this Jesus guy and believing this thing we talk about, that you're going to have roles to fill. You're going to be asked to do things, but it's going to be some of the craziest times of your life and some of the most fun you've ever had. So I just want you guys to leave on those couple of thoughts. All right? I'm just going to bless our time here and we're going to across the street. All right? God, thank you for today. Thank you for being able to parallel things like Peter Pan to our normal day lives and just being able to get together, have fun together, and just feel your presence. Lift everything up today in your name. Amen. Thank you guys.